Hi friends! Welcome back to Alita and the Books. Welcome to a brand new series on my channel called The Last Page. The Last Page is a friendly wrap-up of all of the books that I read in the previous month. So in this video, we will be talking about all the books that I read in October. In October, I read 9 books, which is a decent number, but for me, it's actually lower than my average. My average is usually like 14. I'm okay with 9 because I had a lot of like work things and, Halloween and mom things. So we're going to talk about all 9 books that I read in order of when I read them. So we're going to start with Breathers by S.G. Brown. Yes, you may give me a round of applause. I have had this on my pile of shame for a very long time, for a couple of years now, because my pile of shame is this list of books that I have started but put down and didn't finish. Not because I DNF'd it, because I was enjoying this, just because, I stopped reading it. So I restarted Breathers by S.G. Brown, and I thought it was good. I gave it 3 stars. But more importantly, like, the characters. So Andy, he's a zombie, and he falls in love with another zombie. But it's not really their love story. It's just Andy's survival story as a zombie, and it was very like eye-opening and very intriguing about, everyone does zombies like but this was not that at all. This was a very contemporary zombie story, and they go to something that's kind of like AA, but it's Undead Anonymous instead. And they were talking through what it's like to be a zombie and how like they want to grieve something that they no longer have, but they don't have feelings, so they're not sure how to grieve for something that they didn't have. And it was very bizarre and very weird. And Breathers, once you figure out where the title Breathers comes from, it was like a aha moment for me, and I was just like, whoa, okay. So this is more of a humorous horror novel, but are there terrifying things in here? Absolutely, especially if you're interested in like the more psychological side of things and you like to understand why people and characters do the things that they do. Like, if you like to get into people's minds, I love getting under people's skin and inside their minds. And this was very entertaining. I'm not usually I don't like to read humorous books, like funny bone books, but I didn't really laugh out loud here. I just thought that it was super ironic that a zombie novel had so much social commentary on what it's like to be a human. And I just thought it was very, very ironic in a lot of ways, but it was good. It was 3 stars. Anything over 3 stars, I can keep on my shelf, but I'm really working to get 1,000 books on my shelf that I love. And I wouldn't say that I absolutely adored this book. So I think I'm going to add this to my unhaul as well. Kindle book, Piece of Work by Stacey Hart. Oh man, I did not know this was the billionaire boss trope, and I do not like that. I don't even remember the name of the girl, but she starts as an intern at this like art museum type of place, and the boss man he's rich, but he's also kind of an a-hole, and he's really just rude. But I could feel the forced chemistry from page 1 when they first met, all the way until they finally got together. I don't like the boss trope, though. I don't like the billionaire/millionaire trope. There were so many things working against this book. I do have to say that I really enjoyed the ending, but even enjoying the ending, I still only gave it 2 stars and would not recommend. That actually helped my Kindle book collection though, because I had the entire series and I just like delete. So hopefully that helped my ebook numbers go up a little, or go down, I mean. Then I read a physical book. I read How Bad Things Can Get by Darcy Coates. I think that I just need to be okay with not being a Darcy Coates. Like, I'm not for it. I have read several Darcy Coates, and there are a few that I really enjoyed, specifically The Dead Lake. I like her contemporary stuff. With that being said, this is very, very contemporary. It takes place on this isolated island where all these influencers and rich people went because this like YouTuber was hosting this event, and it was like these harsh games where people were gonna get hurt and maybe someone ends up dying, and then they kind of investigate what happened to that person that died. There are so many different POVs, like 6. It's so confusing. I don't like following rich people drama because most of it sounds made up in their head. I believe I gave this 1 star. And about The Roommate Pact by Allison Ashley. Oh, this was a breath of fresh air. Oh my gosh. So you follow Claire and Graham, who are roommates, and they have this pact that if they're still single by the time they're 40, she thought that they were going to start hooking up. He thought that they were going to like have a fake marriage by the time they're 40. And they're in their like early to mid 30s in this book, but Graham is a firefighter and he gets injured doing something, and Claire is an ER nurse, so he goes into the ER while she's at work, and she freaks out, and they're like, you know what, you can go home and just take care of him. So it's kind of like that whole caretaker trope, and it was really, really cute. Did I expect it from the very beginning? Absolutely. But it's like friends to lovers, roommates to lovers. And then I do think that the whole second scene breakup, or however you say it, like the problems in their relationship towards the second half of the book, I don't entirely buy it. Part of me is like, come on, they were friends, so it makes sense that one of them or both of them are reluctant to be in a relationship with the other one, but it did feel a little like anticlimactic, a little cheesy towards the end. But I don't mind cheese, especially in my romance. Horror novels, completely different. Thrillers, leave the cheese out, but my romance, you can sprinkle a little cheese on there from someone who can't really eat cheese. But I really enjoyed this. They gave it 4 stars. I listened to Mother Thing. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that name. You follow this mother-in-law who dies. She dies at the very beginning. And then she becomes a ghost. And she's haunting you and your husband. Your husband was, she was your husband's mom. Okay? And now she's a ghost that kind of haunts, or is an entity that haunts the house. And like, that she's there and you talk to her sometimes, but you're also scared of her. And I didn't care that much. Like, there were spooky things that happened, but it wasn't. Have you ever read spooky stories on Reddit and you're like, that's not true, that's not believable? Even in a fiction novel, I was just like turning my head like, no. So ultimately I didn't end up loving that one. I think I gave it 2 stars, and I would not recommend it, but you do you, boo. We are going to my best book of October. If this does not make my best books of the year, gosh, this might be my most favorite book of the entire year. Is it? I have to do some thinking, but it might be. This is Any Man by Amber Tamblyn. Holy crap, you guys. This, oh my god. Maud. Okay. So you follow Maud. Although you don't really follow Maud until the end. You don't get Maud's perspective. But this follows... It's a very social commentary book because it talks a lot about rape culture. And I think this came out around the time of the Me Too movement, or like the start of the Me Too movement. And this was brilliant because I've never read a book that has that where the victims or victim or victims are male. It's always a very female crime. Like, the male hurts the female and the female is always the victim. But this kind of spun that way differently. This was terrifying. Like, so terrifying, and the social commentary was stellar. I loved this book full-heartedly. But this rapist, who goes by the name of Maud, has been targeting different men and, attacking them. And you got everyone's perspective. Like, she's a serial rapist, so you got all of her previous victims, and you got a lot of like diary entries and chat messages and emails and like lists, and I loved the way that this story was told. See, accept chat request, you are now chatting, and then the next page is the chat. And I just thought that this was so intense and so scary, but also had so much to say about the world that we live in and the social commentary involved in such things as being attacked. And there's also a lot about how there are definitely males who get attacked, but most of the time, because of the way that society says, like, if a female comes forward and says, you know, I was assaulted at that party last night, well, what were you wearing? Did you eat something provocatively? Like, you know, were you winking at him? You know, did you make eyes at him? And it's always very much victim shaming and victim blaming. And this kind of tells the story about how it happens to males too, but males don't want to have that kind of attention. Not that females want to either, but unfortunately that's the world that we live in. And unfortunately feels like such a lack of a good word to use, but this was such a powerful book. It packs such a punch, and if you've never read Any Man by Amber Tamblyn, please pick it up. It was, well, I mean, if you can handle that kind of thing, because there are definitely a lot of triggers in this book, but I was triggered. And it made me so paranoid and so, like, terrified. Just outright terrified. But I really enjoyed it. I don't like saying that I enjoy it because, like, that's weird, but I really did love that. Okay. Then I read Mistakes Were Made by Meryl Wilsner. And there's actually a reading blog where I read this, I believe. But it sounded really good. It follows Cassie, who ends up at this bar off of campus because it's Parents' Weekend, and Erin is there for Parents' Weekend because, lo and behold, she is Parker's mom. Parker is Cassie's best friend and roommate. And when they hook up at the bar the first night they met, neither of them know each other, but the next day for Parents' Weekend, when Parker introduces Cassie to her mom, Erin, you know, I could say that it would save a lot of time if they would have just, you know, been like, oh yeah, we met last night. But then there might be follow-up questions. I loved the spice. Loved the spice level of this book. It was, okay, I liked the setup of meeting at the bar and, you know, whatever, what could have been a one-night stand. I love that. I thought that was executed very well. But then it just felt like the author was forcing these two together, and that I didn't feel love between the characters. I just felt instant attraction and hotness. I don't know if that makes sense. Just instant, like, ooh, let's go, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. And, like, they do end up together, but, like, in this romance novel, I didn't want them together. I just wanted them to have their little secret affair and then be done. Or, like, have a, I guess, just meet at the bar for the first time and be done. But I get it. It's, like, smutty and forbidden because, you know, there's that age gap. Plus, you know, that's my best friend's mom, and that's my daughter's best friend. And it kind of worked, but I thought there was too much smut. I know, weird. I thought there was too much smut, not a lot of plot. Not a lot of plot. and no character development. So I just, I gave it 3 stars. It was fine, but I will be unhauling this one as well. Knight's Edge by Liz Karen. I did just hit myself with the book. Oh my god. This is like Mia. Okay, so Mia has this diabolical relationship with her mom, and they don't get along, but then Mia's mom gets like the vampire virus. It's a plague in here, and Mia has started to like take care of her and make sure that no one catches on that she's a vampire, because if in this world, if someone has the plague or the vampire plague or whatever, and you help cover it up, that's a crime and you could be in a lot of trouble. But she doesn't want her mom to go away, even though they've always had a diabolical relationship. I don't like vampire stories anyway, but this isn't even a vampire story. It's just a case study on this relationship between mom and daughter who dislike each other. I wouldn't say they dislike each other. It's just her mom didn't know how to be a mother, and Mia has always had to be the responsible one in their relationship. And I don't know, I wanted to love it, but I didn't. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I was actually very bored with this. And then the last book that I read on Kindle was one that I borrowed from the library, and it was Hot for Slayer by Ali Hazelwood. It was part of the romantic Halloween, or the scary romantic Halloween collection. I think that there were like 6 different authors that all decided to write a novella. They do that around the holidays a lot on Amazon Publishing, and I mostly read this one for Sarah's bookish or bingo TBR thing, because it's the only book that I have that has some kind of like paranormal hunter. So it was a paranormal hunter and a vampire is a vampire and a vampire hunter, and they fall in love because I don't think that I can tell you this part because I think it's a spoiler, but he gets amnesia, and he's the vampire hunter and she's a vampire, and she's like, oh, well, if you don't know who I am, that's scary because you've been trying to kill me for 400 years or something like that. And you kind of get a little bit of their background information. I didn't hate this book, but I do think it would have been better if it was longer, because I feel like it was 94 pages and a good 30 to 40 pages of it was their history, like previously, like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. I was actually very much enjoying that. I enjoyed that more than the actual story for modern day. So I think it would have been better if it was a fully fleshed out situation where you could live with them in the past and come back to today, where he has amnesia and doesn't remember that he really just wants to kill you. And I don't know, I thought it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. Again, it just seems like the month of 3 stars for October. But I liked the characters. I especially liked Ethel. She was a wonderful vampire, because I don't normally like vampire books. I find them to be very one-dimensional, because all they want is to suck your blood and kill you. But Ethel, like, oh my god, she's been a vampire forever. But she actually has hobbies. She's like, I love being alone. I can sit with my thoughts. I can read. We are definitely not the same. I mean, we both read, but I don't like being alone. My thoughts scare me. But it was just very, I love the characters, and I think that it had potential to be amazing, but for me it just wasn't long enough. It didn't like scratch that itch, if you know what I mean. But I gave it 3 stars. It was perfectly acceptable. But those are the 9 books that I read in October. And this is the first episode of the last page, which is going to be my new wrap-up series. Every story leaves a trace on our minds, on our hearts, and in the way that we see the world. The last page is not the end. It's just a pause, a place to reflect, a place to remember, a place to think about all the stories that we have read. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to my channel.